Good evening. So, I hope that everyone is having a great start to their week. And I just wanted to kind of check in because recently some stuff has been happening to me that has made me think about what's going on in my life. And then also, I came across this posting on Instagram that kind of helped me understand a little bit about what's going on. And so I wanted to share it because maybe somebody else is going through the same thing, or you might eventually get to this point in your spiritual journey too, and maybe it could be helpful. And so it's going to be short. It's not going to be too much of me talking. It's just something I was on my radar and wanted to share. And so before I get into that, I'll give a little bit of information before I start talking about it. So I feel like I've talked about it before on the podcast, but as of lately, I would say the past month or two, I've been having some very vivid dreams and with symbols in them. And I also been seeing a lot of white butterflies that have just been, whether it be like when I'm looking out the window, I see one, or just literally passing in front of me, and I also have been seeing bees. And before, I wasn't really, I always, I think like the norm is like to get away from the bee, right? And so I recently had saw something on TikTok about this guy was saying how like we're taught that about bees, but what really bees, they are attracted to your energy. So if your energy is good and peaceful, that's why they're coming towards you. And they're not coming to sting you. They just come to like absorb your energy too, or be in your energy more so of peace. And I've been seeing a lot of bees as well coming around me. 222. I just saw 222. And as usual, the angel numbers, I've been seeing those. I've been seeing a lot of 999, which is like the ending of a cycle and transformation. I've saw 888. I feel like I definitely did an episode on 888 before. And that's like money and just abundance coming in. And I've also seen 77. I just seen a lot of them, but I've seen a lot of like 777, 888, 999, 1010, 1111, 1212. And I feel like those ones usually mean like a lot of transformation and stuff like that. So, and I also seen a lot of 333, but I've just seen pretty much every angel number. And so that, and then a lot of like the manifestations that I've been trying to manifest, I've seen them in other people and they come in my area, like come around me. And so again, I don't know. Well, I have to see, how that plays out. But it's just interesting when you pay attention. I think that's more so what it is. Like when you get anxious about stuff and then you just pay attention to what's around you and pay attention to the signs that the universe is sending you, it gives you a sense of like being calm and just trusting the process of whatever's happening and being able to understand and tell yourself that I'm going to be fine no matter what, like whatever is going to happen is going to happen. I'm just going to have to adjust to it and trust and have faith that it's for my best interest and for my higher self. And so obviously that doesn't mean that you're still not going to have human emotions, but it's still just letting go. I've just been practicing letting go. And it doesn't have to necessarily mean people. It's just letting go of your grip on life, letting go of feeling like you have to know what's next, and learning that like when you live like that, because I used to live like that and I still kind of do a little bit. I try to make an effort to do better, but it stems from just certain traumas and certain like when you have that uncertainty, because when it's not all the time, but for some people, when you don't know what's coming next, I know for me, when I don't know what's coming next, I automatically think negative, like something bad is going to happen. I think I now within the past couple of years have done a better job of, even when that happens, I catch myself and I go, well, no, it could be something more positive, or just automatically trying to switch it and tell yourself, like, God would never try to hurt you, and like anything that's happening, it's happening for your higher good and for your best self. And sometimes that's hard. That's hard when you don't see the good in a situation, or you don't see the good possible ending. You just see the fire that's around you right now. And you like, I don't have any water to get me out of this. I don't have nothing to put this fire out that I'm burning in right now. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, because I can't even catch myself to take my next step. And then it's like, I've seen it before on Instagram where it's like, when that type of situation, rather than thinking about what's at the end of the tunnel, why don't you just pay attention to what your next step is and how you're going to figure that out. And I think that's a good way to think about things too. Like, don't have to have everything figured out. Give yourself grace and give yourself time to figure things out and let things be. And you'll be able to adjust, and anyone who's involved, they'll be able to adjust too, because the right people will be there to help you, And so yeah, that's something that I've just came to my head and wanted to share. It might resonate with people, it might not. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about this post that I saw on Instagram from someone. I'm sure you might have, if you like into astrology, you might have seen it. So, or heard of this profile, but the profile is on Instagram. It's _star_healing_. And she posts a lot of she posts a lot of horoscopes and cards of the day, tarot card of the day, or she'll post a spiritual message. And so today I saw a spiritual message that she posted that is very, very fitting for my life right now, and helped me a little bit to understand what I've been going through. And it's literally like, I had a conversation with my friend earlier today, and then that's when I saw this message on my way home on the train. So the message is, there comes a point in your journey where spirit will cut off all guidance. You will be forced to make a choice for yourself. This is Ase. Ase means power. Your spirit guides will never allow you to give away all your power, even to them. When you're in this part of your journey, connect to yourself. Listen to your feelings. Explore those thoughts. This is actually an exciting time. You get to paint your picture however you like. Spirit understands the relationship with yourself is mighty important. And so that stuck out to me, because I definitely feel like during this whole spiritual journey and just process of, I would say since 2019 until now, I've been being in tune with myself, obviously by meditation and writing things down, utilizing therapy to help me understand my emotions, and reading certain spiritual books and stuff about spirituality and how it works, and how just understanding, the introduction of certain signs that the universe will send to you, whether it be certain people that come into your life and lessons that you have, and blessings and transition and all that stuff. But I felt like throughout that whole time, I always had things like angel numbers and butterflies and stuff like that to guide me. Or I would get a message, or, even doing the podcast, there was a summer where I think it was 2020, because I remember it was definitely still during COVID time, even though it's COVID now, but it was heavy COVID time when I was posting. I would do my episodes, but I would always either end or begin, I can't remember, with a message from this book that I had. I believe I posted it on my Instagram page too. The Black Hippie Lounge posted page. And it had a message for each day. And every once in a while I would post those messages, but the book has these different messages, and sorry, I lost my train of thought. What I was going to say about the book. Anyway, so I was using that, like certain messages from there would help me, I feel guide me with certain things. And even just seeing, like, I'm pretty not heavily, but I'm into astrology. So I sometimes like to listen to readings on YouTube from certain tarot readers. And I feel like sometimes it does resonate. Definitely, like, church, just listening. Like I told you guys, I always listen to these podcasts, Jerry Flowers, and I felt like a lot of times his episodes and sermons would help me and would resonate with what's going on in my life, and just kind of give me that guidance there. And just obviously friends and family. But my point is, like, I felt like I've been kind of just, like, not pushed, but someone's always, like, I always have a spirit guide around to tell me what's next and to help me, calm my anxiety, and even just praying to God on a daily basis, and feeling like God will give me my answer and show me, like, what's the next thing to do. But right now, it's definitely a scary position to be in, a space where I kind of started to realize that I'm relying on those guidance, because when I have to make a choice, I've been doing this thing where, and I think I've talked about it before, where I manifest, right? But I also talk to God and say, please remove this person or this thing out of my life if it doesn't belong here. And something that I've been trying to understand is, like, when I've been asking that, why those things aren't being removed. And then, I don't know if I would say it's ego talking, or just kind of like when you like, the thing is, like, when you ask God, can you please, if this person is, like, this is an example. If you ask God, hey God, you know what, I really like this person, but I'm not sure if this person is for me. If they're not for me, can you remove them? And when you ask that, you have to believe whatever the result is. You also have to be ready for them to be removed, because if you're only asking that, if you're asking it but you're not ready to let go, it could mess up your flow. Because say you say to God, like, I really, like, you've been talking to this person, whatever, and you're just not feeling how things are going, or it's not getting you the results that you want, and you just say to one time, like, out of emotional fatigue, like, look, I don't even want to do this, deal with this person no more. Like, God, if this person is not for me, remove them, right? And then God doesn't remove them. And then you can start thinking, like, all right, well, God didn't remove them, so maybe they are supposed to be here, and maybe I am supposed to make it work with this person. But then you still might come across things and situations where you're like, you keep finding yourself asking God to remove this person or these things out of your life, and for some reason they're not being removed, and you just don't understand why, right? And so that is where I feel like this quote comes in, where it's like, maybe sometimes when God is not removing the person, it doesn't mean that they're supposed to be there. Maybe you've reached a point, like this thing says, where you are at ase, I believe that's how you say it, where you realize that you have the power to remove them yourself. And you have the power to determine, like, to listen to your intuition. Like, there's a reason why you're asking God this question in the first place, because if you live in your power and you live in your in your alignment, then you already can recognize, like, this person doesn't fit what I'm trying to do. And that I want to be able to explain is, like, it doesn't have to fit as a person, like, oh, this person doesn't make this amount of money. It's not about that. It's about, this person doesn't fit in the sense of, I don't feel a sense of peace with this person. I don't feel a sense of peace at this job. Or I just don't feel like when I'm around this person or these, in this environment, that I'm in my place and I'm in my highest self. And that is when that's your intuition kicking in, and doesn't even necessarily have to be your spirit guides, but it could be your spirit guides kind of giving you that nudge, like, you don't need us to tell you that or to do it for you. You can do it yourself, and you listen to yourself, right? It's like we're basically, I feel like I say almost as like when you're a baby and you start walking, right? And when you fall down, what they say, you fall 7 times, get up 8 or something. Like, when you start to fall, don't look for your spirit guides to always be there to pick you up. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be falling, but when you're in a space like this is describing, where, spirit guides, the spirit has cut off the guidance. To me, when I'm reading that, like even right now, it's something that came to my head, is that's dope when they cut off the guidance, because to me, it's like almost like a parent with their child, right? It's like you're showing the spirit guides that you got this, and you don't really need them to hold your hand and to hold you up and to guide you as intensely as they may have been, because you're showing that you're on the right path, for one, and you also are listening to them. You've been listening to them and paying attention to the lessons, and you've learned the lessons. You also are listening to yourself, and you can walk this, path a little bit more on your own, and you don't need them to hold your hand, or to have to support your back, at least too much. They're still going to be there, but also, how are you going to learn if every time someone's not right for you, and you ask the spirit, oh, spirit, this person, I don't know, even though something that I've been taught is like, when you ask, you already know, you know what I mean? Like you already know this person. You're just looking for a confirmation to confirm that little bit of like, I feel like this person isn't right, or this thing isn't right, but I like it, and I like having it in my life, because that's still coming from ego, right? Because it's feeding your ego in some sense. And so you go to the spirit and you ask, but you're not really, you're asking, but you're asking more so, you say, oh, spirit God, I don't know if this person is supposed to be here. Can you remove them? But you're asking in a sense of like, you still want that answer to fit what you want. Your ego is to keep them around. And then spirit kind of knows that. And so if you're unknowingly getting to this point of ase, where spirit guide is saying, no, I'm gonna let them figure it out, and I'm gonna make you do it, then you are showing spirit that you really want to get to the next step. You really want to continue on your journey. You're not holding on to people or things that are not good for you, and waiting for something bad to happen before it has to be removed to save you. You don't want to be in that space, right? And so the next part of it, I read it before, but I'll say it again. Where it says, connect to yourself, listen to your feelings, explore those thoughts. That's what I'm talking about. Like when you connect to yourself. This past weekend, I was at the beach, and I had like a really great experience, not just being on the beach, but it was just this whole weekend. Like I was in a place where I could tune out, and I found myself zoning out quite a lot. And it wasn't because like something was wrong or anything like that. I think it was, now I can think, as I dissect the situation, that the zoning out was more, it wasn't just a regular zone out. It was like a zone out of like just taking in the sounds around me and taking in my own energy, and just really mellowing out and being able to be more in tune with myself and tap into my higher self and ask, like, what do you want? What do you really want? And exploring my feelings and my thoughts that I was having throughout the day, that night, whatever, like the whole weekend. And I got to go meditate on the beach. And when I was meditating, it was at sunset, or it was before sunset. So the sun was still pretty shining still. And it was just the environment. It was so cool to see. Like I love being by the beach, and it was just like the breeze of the water, but it was also still really warm out, and just, being able to just be there and zone out and tune everyone out, but at the same time being hyper aware of the sounds around me. I can still hear it now, like the water and the waves, and the like kids playing in the water, and just people having conversations around me, but also hearing the birds. I heard a lot of birds this weekend, and also just seeing a lot of nature, like the butterflies and different animals and stuff like that. But my point was at the beach, like just being able to meditate in that space where I was really able to tune in to myself, and I feel that I got a lot of clarity on things. And even if it wasn't like the answers that I was looking for, just leaving in a emotional space where it's like, I might not know exactly everything of what I need to do, but I have a better understanding of what I need to do for the next step for myself, and looking out for myself. And that was a great feeling to have those thoughts come and those feelings come, and being able to allow yourself to feel them and think about it and make decisions, right? Because like this thing says, it's an exciting time. You get to paint your picture however you like it. And we have to remember that sometimes everybody doesn't get a second chance, and everybody doesn't get a chance or get to the point in their journey in life where they get to paint their own picture. Sometimes people hold on to so much emotional baggage and mental stuff, and their spirit is not right, and they don't get to paint their life. They literally they're stuck in the matrix, or they're stuck in a cycle because they're too scared to get out of it, because they don't know what else is going to happen. If you think about, sometimes there are people who you might from the outside, you're like, yo, you living in a terrible situation right now, like you down bad, and you're like, I don't understand why you would stay in this situation, whether it be in a terrible relationship or a bad job or something like that, or whatever, or you live in a bad place or something. But sometimes people, when they're in that bad, they've gotten so, it's a couple of things. I feel like it's comfortable for them because that's kind of what they know, but also sometimes it's like people aren't always able to look on the brighter side of things. Sometimes people are like, yo, this is bad, but it could be worse. Or what if I do leave this and it's even worse than what I'm in right now? I'd rather hustle and, survive in this bad where I'm at versus go outside of this and potentially be in a worse situation. Even though it's better to have a positive look on that and say, no, maybe I'd rather, because for someone like me, when I'm in that type of space, if I'm in a situation that's bad, like, or it's not healthy, not happy and stuff like that, I'm thinking about how I can get out of this, because I know there's got to be better than this. But sometimes people really don't think like that. Sometimes people don't believe that there's better for them. And you have to recognize that people like that, they're not looking to paint their picture because they feel like their picture has already been painted and they don't get to erase it and do it again, or have a say in how their picture comes out. And it's unfortunate, but like this post says, this is a time where you get to paint your own picture however you like it. And spirit also understands the relationship with yourself is mighty important. I feel like spirit, again, can be a guide, but only to an extent. I think the spirit also realizes that and understands that you hold the power within yourself, and you hold the power to determine how your life is going to be. You hold the power to determine whether you're going to keep going or, it's kind of like, I feel like where I'm at now is I'm getting to the Ase, which is, where the spirit guides are really honestly trusting in your power, and they're not going to give it all away to you, or they're not going to allow you to give away all your power to them. But when you're in this space, I just feel like it's some top tier stuff. Like you're reaching a higher level that you probably hadn't even thought of. And so it could be intimidating. It could be scary because you might have to leave more things behind or make some choices that are pretty big. I feel like that's what it is, like big choices, because I've been seeing a lot of 555, which is like change and transformation, and just messages about saying that I'm going to have to make some big changes and make some big choices on my own and not necessarily wait on God to do it for me or for God to take it away. Even though I rather that be it that way, because I think that my anxiety and just I guess a little bit of fear of just like making the wrong. Where I've been, I don't want to say fear, but it's this mindset of like, I've been working so hard to get to where I'm at, and I still have a way to go, but I just don't want to mess up. I don't want to mess up my path. And so for me, that means not trying my best to make sure that I'm not around people who are not supposed to be in my life. No matter how hard it may hurt, like I'd rather people get out of my life that are not supposed to be there, because I want to win so bad. Like there was something else that I seen too, but it was kind of in the message of like, when you really, really love yourself and you really want to win for yourself, you become your top priority, and you're so dedicated and loyal to your win that nothing or nobody comes before that, and you're willing to get rid of anything and anybody to get to where you need to be. And when you reach that space spiritually, it's an exciting time, but it's also can be scary because you don't know what that means fully. Like what else do you need to get rid of, and what else is going to change, and what are these changes that are going to come, and how is it going to impact your relationships and the people around you and the things in your life, and just next steps and stuff like that. So I don't know. I felt like this message was, to me, I screenshotted it and I sent it to my friend, because I'm like, yo, this literally, like, it hit me when I was on the train, because I'm like, this is what I'm going through, and being able to have an understanding of it is pretty cool. And also, there's this, I think I posted before this page, but it's called @Moon and Cactus, and she's a tarot reader. So she posts like a lot of usually like messages of the week or something like that. So it's like this thing where it'll spin and it'll have different messages, and you can screenshot, and when you screenshot, you get the message for yourself, right? And so the message that I got was, stay focused on what is right in front of you, one thing at a time. And so that I felt was really cool, because I saw that today, and then I also saw the message about Ase. And so I just felt like different things were coming into tune. And I'm like, even looking at my pictures that I have now from being on the beach, and just like the view, and when I was meditating on the beach, it was such a dope experience. Seriously. It was just, I could feel like, I just felt different. I don't know how to describe it, but I just felt so calmed down, and just, I was in Martha's Vineyard, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's an island in Massachusetts, and it's small, but it's really cool. And just being there, it's such a calming place. Like, yeah, there's like a little bit hustle and bustle or whatever, or different shops and stuff like that. But when I was on the beach, I was so chill. Like it was great. So, not to, ramble on, but I hope that this message was helpful. I feel like it was helpful to me, and that's why I said I want to share, because trying to understand, when we're trying to make choices for ourselves, and you're forced to make a choice, it can be intimidating, because it's like which one you gonna take, the red pill or the blue pill, and it's like that scariness for me, at least, is like, if I make the wrong choice, I understand that it's technically still written in my path, but now is it gonna mess me up even more? Like, I just don't want to. I know that there are gonna be obstacles, but if there are obstacles that I can avoid and get to where I need to be still in a better, smoother way, then why not? And like, that, I think, is something spiritually and emotionally that we as humans have to understand, is like, you gotta put your emotions aside sometimes, because when you think about, like, if you have to make a choice, right? And if it involves like getting rid of somebody out of your life, if you have connection with that person, then you're automatically going to think like, oh dang, I'm going to miss them, you know what I mean? Or I have so much love for this person, or I really enjoy this person being here, so what is it going to be like without them, right? And so, but you're thinking of that emotionally, 10. But you have to think about, all right, is it better to take that sacrifice emotionally and feel those feelings for a few months or days or however long it works for you, however long it takes for you to get over that person, or to getting over getting that person out of your life? Is that more important than you making that choice then, but as a temporary, but getting to where you want to be, forever? And kind of weighing those options, if that makes sense, right? And so I think that sometimes that's where we end up, and we are so worried about. I think when you're moving out of that kind of emotion, you're still thinking about the other person and what they would benefit from, versus like, if you're only thinking about yourself, like, I have to do this to get to where I need to be. And when you're in that mindset, I think that's when you're able to, like it says, ase means power. So the power is, according to this, is being forced to make a choice for yourself. That's powerful when you are able to make choices for yourself, right? And you're able to wake up and, evaluate your life and say, this is not right, or this thing, or these people, or this job, work, this environment, whatever. This is not good for me spiritually, my spiritual health. This ain't it, And when you can say this ain't it, that's step one. But then you gotta like, okay, this ain't it. So now what? I need to move on. I need to make moves and make space for the things that are gonna be it. And it sucks sometimes, because you're like, dang, you might have wanted this thing to be it, but it's not. And so then the real, I feel like the last bit of thing where you start to tap into your ase is the power, is when you make the choice to stick with it and to follow through for yourself. And so, that is something that I feel is definitely what I'm going through. Just being able to make choices for myself and my higher self, my future self, to be able to get there, versus even if that means hurting myself now emotionally for a temporary time, because pain don't last forever. And, after the rain comes the sunshine. So you're not going to be in that cloudy space forever. You just got to get through it. And so, I think that, I guess the moral of that is just like, if you get to the space where you have to make choices for yourself, don't look at it as like a bad experience or something negative, like, oh dang, like I don't want to have to be the person to do this, I don't want to have to do this, versus, oh, I get to do this. That means I'm like really getting far in my spiritual journey. I'm really connected to myself, because my spirit guides, they trust me They trust that I've been learning my lessons, and I've been paying attention to the signs and being in tune with myself and meditating and journaling and tapping in and connecting with myself to the point where, I'm in tune with my spiritual self to be able to make decisions for myself. And also it's like that respect from the spirit of understanding that your relationship with yourself is very important. And at the end of the day, we have free will. And so you and your spirit and your higher self, you have to connect and make the executive decision for yourselves about what to do, right? And that's the beauty of, when you continue to spiritually grow in your spiritual journey, because you get to accomplish more for yourself and you get to reach higher levels of your spiritual self to be able to make these big decisions, because they are big decisions, no matter what it is. If it's determining your next steps in your life and certain things that might happen, then it is a big decision. So I think that if you are experiencing Ase, or you get to the point of Ase, don't shy away from it and don't be afraid of it. Embrace it, but also realize that, give yourself a pat on the back, because that means you are doing it. You're killing it, because when spirit guides are trusting you and saying, no, I'm not going to get involved, because I'm not getting involved because, I done told this person over and over again and showed them all the signs and blah, 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 and they're still not listening. I interpret it as, I've done these things. I've shown this person, this human, all these signs and given them this guidance, and I'm trusting that they're using it because they're showing me with certain steps or whatever that they're able to recognize the signs. They're able to recognize and pay attention and be in tune with themselves and connect to their intuition. And they're going to make a choice, right? And I say a choice because I don't want to say the right choice, because the right choice would be whatever you choose. I hope that makes sense, because the right choice is whatever you choose, because it's what your heart desires, or what your heart and spirit, are gravitating towards. And so that's the right choice. There's no A or B, there's no correct answer. It's more, the correct answer is what works for you and what you want to do. And so that's a power in itself, to know that you don't, I don't want to say you don't have to tap in and ask for guidance, but the guidance is only kind of like I don't want to say a cheat sheet, but it's kind of like yeah, you're doing it. Yeah. Kind of like one of those answers, not necessarily telling you no, because I don't know if you experience that, but even when I ask God for a sign, or you ask Spirit for a sign, even though we get the sign, it's not like it's saying yes or no. It's always I feel is usually yes or no, in the sense of yes, you're on the right path, keep going, or change, or because redirection, right? Rejection is redirection. And when you're rejected, it's the universe's way of saying that's not it, but you got to figure out a different way. And so I think that when that type of things happen, that's where I feel like you are getting tested spiritually, to see if you're able to understand it, first of all, but also tap into your power to know that, okay, then I just got to make a different decision, And so that's that. But I hope that this message was helpful and that you learned some type of information from this. I know I definitely did. I will post it tonight. I will post the message I'm talking about as well. Please, if you haven't already, check out my interview that I did with Nicole Hassan as well from last week. I have another interview coming up as well, so I'm excited. And before this thing kicks me off, I am your host, Chanel. This is the Black Hippie Lounge. Please rate and review the podcast, share on all social media. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Have a great rest of your week, and stay blessed.
Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.